Mental strength and management are crucial for athletes. Moment-to-moment management is important. Let's record your own experience on how to maintain your mental state and maximize it. 2 of your children are athletes. One specializes in an individual sport and was a professional for 8 years, and recently retired. One is still an active athlete. Every day felt like a constant battle. For these players, it was their mental resilience and adaptability that enabled them to cope with the ever-changing environment. Good mood in the morning, irritable in the afternoon, ends the day with moments of anxiety, displaying varying emotions throughout the day. For the athlete, this fluctuation felt like a constant battle, while the parents experienced an even greater impact, because the stress often got transferred to them. Mental strength and management are vital for athletes. In individual sports, should mental strength be solely managed by the individual? In team sports, I shouldn't be the only one to take care of my mental state, because I'm always in the group. The group or team dynamics directly affect me. Among them, our mental management is also crucial. Also, because the training and the game continue for a moment, it appears immediately if mental management is not done properly for a moment. If it accumulates, someone will notice. And it's crucial as it leads to falling behind competitors, and is always a continuous state of tension. Let's take a general look at the common issues athletes commonly face when it doesn't work out properly. When you're pushed out as a candidate in a game. When your team is losing. When you make a fatal mistake in a game. When you're doing well in the game but get pushed out. When your competitor in your position is doing too well. When you're losing because of yourself. When the coach points you out. When you're not doing very well before the game. When you lose a crucial game. When you were injured in the game. When the unexpected situation came in the game. When it doesn't work out properly during training. When you don't feel good during training. When you don't want to do it during training. When the training is too boring. When the training is not fun. When you train on weekends. When you were injured. When you were being treated during the injury. When rehabilitation is later than you thought. When you got injury again in training after rehabilitation. When the candidate is better than you when you're returning from rehabilitation. When there is a conflict between seniors and juniors. When the competitor in the same position is too good. When the competitor in the same position is a junior and active. When the director hates me. When the coach doesn't let me play on purpose. When you're unintentionally alone. When you're left alone. There are a lot of other things. But I'll start by jotting down only this much for now. Those who are starting to exercise now will not know what is what because mental management is not yet important. Because there's no experience. But most of the people who read this article will be those who exercise to some extent. Each of them would therefore have come up with a solution to the problem above. Some parts are certain, some parts are ambiguous, and some parts have not been solved yet, which can lead to embarrassment and anxiety. Even you have a certain solution, but you will be looking for a better way. Some people may come up with this problem on their own, and it may have been solved by friends, seniors and juniors, coaches, leaders, or parents. Some people will accept the solution and make it completely their own, while others will accept it appropriately. How much do you trust and use? It's different for each individual. Usually, when this happens, if you're not serious, or if it's not serious enough to affect the game, or if it's not in a slump, people around you say, "It's okay. You can do well later. Don't take your mistakes too sensitively. This time of pain passes." This positive word is a great comfort to the person involved. It's important to fix your perspective, to see the situation itself positively. To what extent does the person receiving this word accept it and take comfort? This is also different for each individual. However, over time, there is a problem that what everyone feels is not positively accepted in their minds, but is mostly negative. It builds up one by one. Individuals may habitually be stuck in a particular part for a long time for any of the above problems. This is a negative part that can lead to addiction or habit. In this case, you will fall into a slump, you will continue to undermine your ability, and you will gradually fall into the trap of incompetence, and you will not be able to play, and as a result, you will find yourself in a vicious cycle of more negative thinking. It also doesn't appear right away, but it appears as long as you continue your career. If you go this far, you will be out of control. In this case, when the psychological damage is severe, you might brand yourself as a failure. Ultimately, sports psychological counseling or psychiatric counseling may be inevitable. So you explore personal problems and treat them step by step, using counseling techniques. If you had gone this far, you had already given up your career. I majored in psychological counseling and have undergone many treatments for psychological issues faced by athletes' children. I treated the aspects that I deemed serious. In particular, this player could die during the game. So I focused on this aspect. It's not just about managing every aspect mentally. I need to figure out whether these problems are related to mental, technical, or physical aspects, and solve them accordingly to each category. It's not accurate to link every problem to psychology. If it's a technical issue, you need to supplement this part separately, and as a result, your mental strength increases accordingly. And if it's just a psychological matter, use psychotherapy to improve your mental strength. However, in the case of this player, the issue was related to technical aspects. So he focused on developing this skill, and as the skill worked out, his mental strength naturally increased. In particular, my favorite psychotherapy theory is REBT psychotherapy. A player who has developed the rational aspect, who has already certain fixed standards in mind. It's a great therapy for players with irrational beliefs. However, players face countless problems. Countless problems arise every moment. Treating all these aspects through psychotherapy is impossible. It's also impossible to apply all psychological problems to REBT. When external information comes to us, it mixes with the information already present in my thinking and gets optimized. It offers and determines the best way for myself to act. However, the information already formed within me with common sense has a positive or negative framework. So when external information comes in, it's processed positively and negatively by a framework already in place. Having an internal negative framework becomes a habit of negative interpretation, and negative behavior appears. The longer you're a player, the more prevalent the negative aspects become. Humans have more negative parts than positive parts. In psychotherapy, efforts are made through various therapeutic techniques to change the framework of already entrenched negative thoughts. So in the end, the goal is to change to normal thinking. However, in psychotherapy, not all problems are solved 100%. Even a 20 to 30% improvement is groundbreaking. Eventually, it suggests significant methods for treatment, and you have to resolve the rest on your own. Here, in common sense and psychotherapy, negative thoughts, positive thoughts, and normal thoughts can be considered as forms of information. It identifies information as an object without any life or power. Of course, in some psychotherapies, it's regarded as an invisible creature, the spirit. I'll speak about a different aspect from here. I don't see the frame of thinking in my mind as a powerless object. You can view this from a different angle as a spirit. Spirits have substance, but they have power, they're alive. They exercise, they don't die, they influence. They don't disappear. This spirit affects 100% of people, with negative messengers and strong influence. In the case of athletes, even before exercising, they are born into a special family environment, already learning and organizing their thought patterns. So during their career as an athlete, they interpret various issues in a certain pattern and act accordingly. However, most of the information above is negative. This always takes a negative position within the athlete. Eventually, it leads to an individual's incompetence and a sense of worthlessness. For example, if I made a mistake during the game, at that moment, on one side of my mind, I forcefully give myself the information to wake up and hold on to that thought. I forcefully give myself the information to wake up and hold on to that thought. On the other side, did you make another mistake? You are less competent. You always make mistakes. Now you're going to be relegated to the bench. You couldn't even do that, you fool. That's what will continuously shout loudly. At that moment, the athlete shakes their head to get rid of that thought, or tries to shake it off. On the other hand, inside their mind, they think, I'm not like that. They attempt to make up for it with positive words. It seems so powerless. As the game ends, whether it's the coach or seniors point, or if their parents scold or subtly reprimand them for that mistake, these players start feeling inadequate inside. I am not good at this sport. It's hopeless to succeed in sports. I should just quit this sport. And these words will echo louder in their mind, reinforcing such thoughts. It'll drive their actions towards fear and helplessness. No matter how much I try to hide these thoughts in my mind, they won't disappear even if I shake my head. It further grips my mind, exacerbating my incompetence and anxiety. It will drive me further into fear. It relentlessly pushes on. Thus, these thoughts are more than just thoughts. They're living spirits like zombies. They writhe and gnaw at my normal thoughts. Therefore, these thoughts shouldn't merely be considered thoughts. We should view them as spirits for an easier response. Therefore, we need to shatter these spirits. We need to crack their heads like an eggshell. This spirit is revealed only in the Bible as the devil's spirit, an evil spirit. These spirits dominate athletes' minds during their careers. They also dominate every human being. Every human has been under their influence since childhood, continuing until now. These spiritual entities are endlessly produced within the mind. These spiritual entities continuously erode my abilities, wisdom, knowledge, and the worth as an athlete. Every athlete starts with a goal, whether it's to join a professional team or become an internationally recognized player. However, to prevent me from achieving this goal, this ever-gnawing spirit undoubtedly resides in my mind. It has already taken root in my mind and continues to be produced until I quit being an athlete. It strongly thrives and operates within my mind. Therefore, how we approach breaking this spirit regarding a particular issue will significantly impact my mental strength. Mental management in everyday life is also dependent on how frequently one can break this entity. It all depends on this. So, to shatter this entity, what should I do? You might go to churches, temples, or mosques, where you can pray a bit. You can ask for help from the God you believe in. However, it won't disappear. Even if it temporarily disappears for a while, it won't vanish permanently because it keeps being produced. Devoting oneself fervently to church won't make it disappear temporarily, nor will praying hard temporarily make it disappear, because these messages keep generating from within your mind. They keep pouring endlessly. They generate even when you're asleep. In the Bible, there is a name given to defeat the presence of Satan and demons, which is given by God, and that name is Christ. He is Jesus from the New Testament. Therefore, in the name of Jesus Christ, bring to me the problems related to the issues I'm facing, which make me feel incapable and worthless. Let the head of Satan be broken, and this declaration should be made in prayer. If you've been active as an athlete until now, you may have always struggled with specific issues among the ones mentioned. I've always tried, but failed, trying every method possible, continuously failing, dragging me into feeling incapable. Those thoughts and habits might exist. Try breaking it this way. You can pretend while doing it if you want. This is not a delusion. It's not a spell. This is something that's actually happening. Or perhaps, you made a small mistake during the game. For instance, during the game, you made a minor mistake. Or you made a big mistake. Even at this moment, under the name of Christ, Jesus, claim that Satan's head, which exaggerates my minor mistake and makes me anxious and incompetent, will be shattered now. Please declare it this way. If you've understood and acknowledged this much in your mind, then let's move forward from here. It won't happen by just shouting it once. Keep declaring it until that thought disappears from your mind. Go to a quiet place and loudly shout out until this thought doesn't come. Please declare until it completely disappears. Some of you may read this and think the writer is insane, but please give it a try. So, with so many problems above, how do you deal with them? How do you deal with them? Just like the method above, in the name of Jesus Christ. Analyze my problems negatively, making me anxious, scared, and powerless. The head of Satan will be shattered now. This is another way of praying. So, when you have spare time, pray specifically like mentioned above. But when you don't have time, call Jesus Christ until you open and close your eyes. If you are in the middle of a game, definitely try shouting Jesus Christ. Meanwhile, from the start of your athletic career till retirement, especially as you become an adult, more problems will come your way. In primary and secondary school, you compete within your age group. However, as you become an adult, you compete against all athletes. It's like a war atmosphere. The surviving athletes until then, how strong do you think their skills and mindset are? By then, their skills are already well developed, and they won't improve much. Even if they do, it will take a lot of time. However, if you strengthen your mindset, your abilities can grow infinitely, and you can develop them quickly. You can change drastically overnight. Ultimately, mental management is what constantly breaks you down, continually generating negative messages within. There's a being who delivers this message. It is Satan. How many of them can you crush? How deep can you go? How much width can you cover? How intensely can you go? It all depends on this. But to shatter Satan deeply, repetitively declare Jesus Christ. You will start to wonder why and what the meaning of Christ is. You will gradually become curious about why the name Christ is great. I recommend watching another video on our channel to find out why. Lastly, let me share a case where this content was applied. The athlete, being their own child, couldn't resist. The accumulated feeling of incompetence in their mind slowly led them to feel helpless. They could momentarily push them away, but ultimately, these thoughts became ingrained. However, although these thoughts filled their mind, they were never expressed verbally. As they got older, their aspirations for the top league remained a hope, not a reality. Although they didn't show it outwardly, inside, they had already given up. When the silent surrender in one's heart, while it might deceive others, one cannot deceive oneself. Once they realized this fact, they started engaging in a genuine war against Satan. Because they were undoubtedly talented athletes, they had reasons to pursue, they had the skill, and they consistently put in hard work every day. However, due to these negative thoughts within their hearts, they were constantly under stress. They didn't know how to resolve it. And then, officially, they began the war against this existence. After they called upon this name, initially, it felt awkward. They had never attempted this before. Even to themselves, it seemed strange. They felt like they were going crazy. However, when they called out Christ, especially from within their hearts, they were prompted to face their issues. They immediately felt a change within themselves. And when they looked back at their long deception, they felt a sense of injustice. They realized their inability wasn't due to lack of skill, but because they had accepted the messenger from Satan as their own opinion and clung to those words stubbornly. Eventually, they realized they had reached this state. Hence, they continued to face the challenge. Christ is Jesus. By proclaiming in their hearts that Jesus is the Christ, the worries and anxieties that surfaced in their minds gradually began to be blocked out. Unnecessary negative thoughts. Gradually, their anxiety and feelings of despair began to fade. Their minds started to clear up. By focusing on the current situation, they were able to make clearer judgments. Previously, they only talked about reaching the top league. Yet in their hearts, they had already given up. But now, the goal seemed much closer. Every day, evidence kept accumulating, and they knew it themselves. Ultimately, both the athlete and their parents can now see the goal. It's within their grasp. To the athletes who are diligently exercising today, I recommend this effective method. Jesus is the Christ.